Yeah, we're ready. All right, we're ready to begin.
We have a time.
The time is 5:21.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delay. This is to advise those present at this October 22nd, 2018 regular board workshop/action meeting of the Board of Education of the City of Pleasantville in the County of Atlantic that notice was given on October the 17th, 2018 of the 2017 revised annual designation of the regular monthly board meetings. As required by the provisions of Chapter 231 of the laws of 1975, notice thereof has been distributed for publication in the press, the Absecon/Pleasantville Current, and the Mainland Journal, posted in the Administration Building and forwarded to the City Clerk of the City of Pleasantville within the time required by said act. Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Mr. Barkley? Present. Mr. Buford? Present. Mr. Callaway?
Present.
Ms. Mello?
Present.
Ms. Thomas?
Present. Please stand for the flag salute and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. All right, Mr. Tompkins. Yeah.
Okay, we don't have any voices of the children.
No.
That's it. Okay, at this point in time, and Dr. Austin, do you have a superintendent's report you want to give?
Actually, board member, what I'd like to do is to meet the requirements of the state in that we are supposed to report publicly the data regarding our student performance on the PARC tests, and I'd like to allow my time tonight for us to present that to the board as well as the public. So Dr. Noel Jacqueline, who is our Director of Instruction and Curriculum Instruction, will present that.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
The PARC results as per code, as Dr. Austin stated, are required to be presented to the Board of Education and the public within 60 days. And in order to be compliant, we were prepared for the presentation last week. Unfortunately, the meeting was canceled, so we would like to go forward and present today. The PARC results came in and on August 17th, and they went to parents shortly thereafter. And what I'd like to do is just kind of go through it as these were presented. The data are what they are. There are some trends that I'd like to maybe point out. Right now what you see are the English language arts percentages, and these are by a 3-year period. And this will also be available afterwards if anyone is interested. But one of the things that I wanted to point out was, if you look here on the level ones, you see kind of a trend where overall those level ones are reducing. And you'll also see later on, and in this slide as well, that the level 3s are increasing, and in one slide you'll see that the majority of our level 3s are above the state averages. The mathematics percentages are there as well. I think that for the level 3s in the English language arts, there's a larger number than in the mathematics section. And the teachers and administrators are aware of what the needs are because the principals themselves have done some analyses as well. In this next slide, you see the percentages overall of the proficient and advanced proficient students. And in the next slide is the mathematics. The English language arts literacy, these are the students who were tested, and this is a 2-year analysis of just basic reporting of the descriptive stats of who was tested in both the language arts and the mathematics. This next slide, I'd like to point out the, as I said, the level 3s. Now, in a district where approximately 67% of the children go home to houses where perhaps English is not the #1 language, I think this is a pretty significant stat to look at. Because these kids in the level 3s are right on the cusp of moving into the proficiency range. So the question becomes for our administration and staff is, how do we move those kids? I think this is really actually pretty interesting information right here. Because again, approximately 67% of these kids go home to houses where English is not the #1 language spoken. This is a pretty interesting stat because they're really just ready to move. And in the next slide, you have the mathematics. And again, just take a moment there to look at where those kids are ready to move to that next level. On the next slide is the English language arts grade 3 percentages, and this is broken down by elementary schools. Grade 4, also language arts. Mathematics, grade 3. Make sure I'm on the right one up there. And then grade 4. Grade 5, English language arts. And then mathematics. And here you have the district's percentages. Again, the percentages may not total 100 due to rounding. And the language arts. And again, we have by grades 3, 4, and 5 in language arts. Any questions here about what the levels mean? Yes, sir. The level 1 are the students that are below proficiency, and they're in fairly, they're in need of some additional assistance to move into the levels 4 and 5, which are proficient and advanced proficient. The level 3s, which I think are significant, are and you can see they're broken down by school as well. These are the kids that are ready and on the cusp to move into that proficiency range. Intervention strategies. There are a lot of things in place, and the teachers are working very hard to see that there are some universal screenings that are going on, some district levels as far as, say, Fontes and Pinnell for attaining reading levels, and there's also defined behavioral and academic expectations that are taught. There's reward systems in place, and there's a continuum of consequences for behavior and also for some academic intervention. This is something that we as a district are looking at. How can we enhance these things as well through regular and grant-funded budgets? And there's a continuous collection of the data. And then in the second level, there's, again, progress monitoring. we are instituting and trying to make it a little more uniform, the progress monitoring for individual students. That's one of my personal goals for this year, to work with the teachers to do that. There's a system for linking the academic and behavioral performance through the student database system. And then when you get into the kids that need a little more assistance, there are INRS processes, there's some special education services, and we're hoping to also increase some of the things that we do, such as some of the after-school programming and potentially some during the school day basic skills. One of the other things that has been discussed is the ESL, trying to get all of the staff more accustomed to what some of the ESL kids need as well. And that means understanding some of the linguistic similarities and differences that all of our kids share. And the professional development plan, which I'm not sure if this came all the way down, that deals with college and career readiness, data analysis, looking at assessments, social and emotional intelligence, and how we can work with the kids in those matters to achieve Greyhound greatness. Any questions? Again, I thank the principals for their analyses of the data, kind of forced that upon them. And I appreciate that, because I can analyze this information, but it's really important that we all do it. And now what I'm going to ask next is that we drill down even more, from the school level to the individual classroom levels, and looking at individual students. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Jacqueline. I just want to reemphasize the challenges and some of the successes that Dr. Jacqueline has illustrated. We have some challenges. We know that some of those challenges, even this year, are related to some fiscal matters, and we're trying to address those so that they don't negatively impact the instructional program. However, there are some realities. But we, as she mentioned, we're trying to make sure we look at all of the different students' needs, and we are going to put a tremendous effort or emphasis on professional development for our staff, our teachers, for even our leadership. We have been engaging in training as well. Okay? Unless there are any questions, that's all I have.
Any questions, board? No? No, not at this time. Mr. Tompkins? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I got it. Next, we have public portion. First, we have Joseph Stratton.
Yes, good evening. My child attends school at Atlantic Community Charter School. I went to the middle school to speak about the change in the bus pickup. Currently, to change the bus pickup, we're picking up in front of another school which is already congested on 3rd and Washington Avenue. And it's almost like an accident waiting to happen. Traffic is being stopped up quite a bit for the buses to be picked up. People are dropping off their children at that school. Currently, last year, there were 3 buses picking up children in the parking lot where I live at. There are an additional 2 other families that should be picked up at the same area. I asked if that bus could be moved back to that route, and the answer that I was given was that the schedule has been changed for all buses, and that there was nothing at all that can be done. I was then told in the same breath that if there's a bump, that there will be an adjustment made for the buses. Say if the city needed to do construction on a road or something like that. So in the particular situation, I asked, well, this is a bump because it's unsafe. Right now, the parents are trying to find parking for their children where they want us to pick up and drop off. And it goes as far as at least a block and a half away. I'm representing at least 7 families or 8 families on the bus right now. I sent in signed letters to the school, as well as petitions with addresses, phone numbers, and the parent's name and the child's name, and the school where it's attended. This all has to do with bus number 9, going to the charter school. A few times I went down to speak to someone, and I was told I could not speak to them first time. Second time I attended, I spoke to them, they said something would be done. Nothing was done. And this started when the school year started and the bus started picking up. I know that as time goes on, things start to level out and get in place as far as the routes and things like that. But the situation is unsafe for the kids to be picked up where they are. And as I said earlier, there were 4 buses that were picking up in the parking lot where I live at. Now there are 3. My understanding is that those same 3 buses are on the same route that they were in last year. And my bus that goes to the charter school is the only one that has been changed. So now my child and the other families, their childs are being picked up in front of another school that's already congested. I would like to see something done. There's only a matter of 3 blocks being changed where the children can be picked up safely, less congestion in front of the school, the middle school, the school that's on 3rd and Washington Avenue, and it'll be an easier route. I also have signatures from the bus aide that was on the bus when the bus was last year. So she's on the same bus, on the same route this year. She's also agreed that it would be much safer to be picked up in a parking lot where the parents can have easier access to park, no congestion. The kids are being picked up in a parking lot as opposed on a street corner where you're stopping traffic. And parents are trying to get in and out of the school to drop off their kids and leave and then go to work. So I'm asking that something be done about this particular situation. As I said, I've already given signatures. Emails have been sent about this. I don't know how high I need to go to have something done to have a bus moved 3 blocks so that children can be picked up in a safer environment. I did speak to a police officer. A police officer was there. He was aware of the traffic that was going on. He spoke to his captain about it. I don't have a report from them, but I'm going to look back into that so I can get a report that is very congested right there in front of that school. And if they pick up a block, 3 blocks away, it would be more convenient, not only for the parents, but also for the safety of the children. And this is a very serious concern that I have, because if one child gets hit, my concern, what if it was mine? So I'd like to know if something about that can be addressed as soon as possible.
Mr. Stratton, did you talk to someone from transportation?
Yes, I did.
And what was their response?
Their response was they told me there was nothing that could be done, and they told me unless there's a bump in the road, that's the only way that they could make an adjustment to that bus route. I did let them know, again, that it was an unsafe situation where they were, where there's a lot of traffic coming up Washington Avenue and 3rd where the school is located.
And which charter school is this?
Atlantic Community Charter School.
Okay.
I also spoke with the bus company, and they told me they cannot change the route unless a letter has been made by transportation, and they could change the route.
Mr. Stratton?
Yes.
Did I have a conversation? I'm the superintendent, I'm Clarence Sauce. Did I have a conversation with Ms. Stratton?
That might have been my brother-in-law's wife.
Okay.
On a different situation.
Right,
yes.
There was. I do remember the name. Okay, so that's not the same
Yes,
situation.
it's not the same situation.
Okay.
So you want to get his phone number?
Yes.
You have it? Okay, so
What is his
go
name?
ahead. Stratton.
Mr. Stratton,
Yes, sir.
I did speak to my transportation coordinator about this issue. Can I get your information? I will call you back. I'm Elisha Thompson. I'm the school business administrator.
Yes, you may.
We will talk.
Okay, thank you. Who should I see about? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Sandra Thompson.
Good evening. My name is Sandra Thompson, Cedar Lane here in Pleasantville. I stand before you for the Pleasantville Chapter AERP. I'm currently the president of our chapter. What we would like to do, because we are a volunteer organization, we would like to see if we could get permission to maybe help out in maybe some of the classrooms or schools, or we're not volunteering to spearhead anything or present anything. We are a volunteer organization. We are AARP, and we have 90 members, and we meet here in this room here once a month. So we just would like to volunteer if we can in some of the classrooms, whether it be reading to the children, helping out at events, or things that you might have done. We just want to volunteer. So I was told by a few people that I probably needed to come before the school board to ask the question, so I'm here to ask the question. So if I need to put something in writing, or who do I need to address it to, let me know, and it will be done.
Thank you very much for your willingness to support us. We certainly need all the help we can get. What I'd like to do is get your name and number, and I'm going to ask our Human Resources Department to get in touch with you, and they can tell you everything that you need to do so that you can provide that kind of assistance, and we certainly appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next, we have Ernestine Smith.
Good evening, Board, to the staff and the community. First, I'll have two things that I would like to bring to this Board's attention. The first is that your students here at the Pleasantville High School did an outstanding job in talking about their experience as they go through grade levels and being here in this district. And because of that great response, I'd like to give Claire Lowe her just due, because she did an excellent job. And if you guys didn't get an opportunity to see these young people, I just want to show you they were fantastic. And they're going to be interviewed throughout the months, throughout the year, so that they can show each month in their transition as to how they're moving through the school district. So if you guys would, Claire, would you please stand? She doesn't want to stand, but she did a really fantastic job. For my second thought, I would like to express my concerns. I have a daughter that works in this district. I've been in this district for over 25 years. Sent my daughter to college to come back to work in her community in which she lives. The other thing is, when we had Family Service Association, she decided to go in there to look at the social aspect as to how children behave in what they do before going into special education. And again, I'd like to say...
Ms. Smith, I'm going to have to stop you there, and here's why. Your daughter has not been riced. So for you, hold on, you know, and you and I have had this conversation, you cannot speak about another employee at a board meeting because they have rights. So I'm just cautioning you.
Okay.
They do have rights, and the procedure is, if you are to speak about someone, an employee, they must be riced. That's a law.
Absolutely.
So I just caution you on that if you go further, that's an issue.
Let me turn it around and do this. Can I ask the question? Is she not on the board agenda?
But she hasn't been riced for discussion. That's a difference.
Thank you. That's all I wanted you to say.
That's it for public portion. All right, Mr. Tompkins.
Madam President, I'd like to bring forth resolution number 3 regarding the financial disclosure of a board member. I need a resolution to accept.
Can I get a resolution to accept number 3 on the agenda for school ethics, from the School Ethics Commission? Can I get a motion? Can I get a second? Second by Ms. Mello. Any questions? Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Mr. Barkley. Mr. Buford. Mr. Callaway. Ms. Mello.
Yes.
Ms. Thomas.
Yes.
Mr. Buford, can the board get an explanation of why you're abstaining?
To be honest, I have to complete my paperwork, so I don't understand what would transpire if I didn't complete it.
I mean, actually, they work on the same organization.
So if this it seems like it's the same reason where I would have to complete the same paperwork, correct?
We've received notification, and one, I explained that to the board member, but, and they are fully aware, and I can't determine the timeline of when they submit, but this is down from the state itself. So that is correct.
I'm just trying to make sure I'm correct in what I'm doing, that's all.
No, but it is my own understanding as well that you are conflicted in some capacity,
Say again?
that you're conflicted in
What?
some capacity.
In what regard? Conflictions in what?
Are you not,
He's a, well, I guess maybe Ben can explain it. Because he's a part of an organization that Ms. Sanchez is a part of, correct?
Who, me?
Yes.
Yes.
She's actually his.
That has nothing to do with why I'm abstaining. I'm abstaining because I'm unsure of what would the result be for myself, period. Because I haven't completed this myself. So if this would be a necessary motion for her, I'm not understanding why it would be one for myself. I'm just trying to make sure I'm correct in what I'm...
no, I understand that, but it's all predicated on timing. The state submitted the sanction down to us, and I'm not, and I don't know your exact timeline. It's determined by the state of New Jersey.
Right.
So the state has already made a ruling on the individual, so I'm not clear on that. It has nothing to do with you per se. They give a
And
timeline.
neither does my abstaining because we're part of the same organization, just to be clear.
Okay, so you're not abstaining because of
I
that.
thought maybe that's.
No, I'm just being clear, that's all.
You cool.
No, we can't. At this point in time, the motion does not pass.
You got it.
Madam President, can I get a motion for the to approve the organizational chart number 4?
Can I get a motion to approve number 4, 4.1?
Ms. Mello made the motion. Mr. Barkley, second.
Barkley. Any questions? Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Mr. Barkley. Mr. Buford.
Yes.
Mr. Callaway.
Say yes. Talking to the mic.
Ms. Mello.
Yes.
Ms. Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carries.
What's next, Mr.
Madam President, can I get a motion to approve the minutes for October 22nd, number 5?
Where we at? I'm sorry, because it clicked off.
Yes.
Caesar, can you have a seat, Mr. Page? No questions. Excuse me, can you have a seat? Can you just have a seat, please? Just have a seat, thank you. It clicked off.
The minutes are from September 18th.
Oh, okay. Can I get a motion to pass to vote on 5.1, the review of board minutes? Second. Second by.
Are you? Okay.
Any questions? Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Mr. Barkley. Yes. Mr. Buford.
Yes.
Mr. Callaway. Okay. Ms. Mello.
Yes.
Ms. Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carries. Madam President, I'd like to move the finance agenda, items 6.1 through 8.
You said 6.1 through 8.
Yes, that's all of the finance.
Can I get a motion, please? Can I get a second? I'm sorry.
Second.
Second by Ms. Mello. Any questions? Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Mr. Barkley. Yes. Mr. Buford.
Yes.
Mr. Callaway. Ms. Couch.
Yes.
Ms. Mello.
Yes.
Ms. Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carries. Madam President, I need a motion to approve the HR agenda 9 to 9.16.
What was that, 9 to what?
Yeah. 9.1.
9.1?
Well, personnel. Yeah, I got 9,
Okay, I got it.
9.16.
Yeah. Can I get a motion to approve HR? Can I get a motion? It's page 15 through 15 through 27.
Yeah, I just did it as a clarification on time 2.
Wait a minute, I said it.
No.
Okay. What was that, Mr. Barkley?
I just need a little clarification with the new hires, in the phase that.
New hires?
Yeah,
That's 9.2.
yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit confused in the phase that we just went through the process of reducing staff.
I ain't hear it. Hey, go ahead, Mike. Okay. No, we can't hear it. They don't have a mic.
When I see the heading new hire, in a phase that we just went through reduction of staff, I want a little clarification on that.
Okay. Yes. With the first category, which is special education, Mr. Barkley, we are required, these are by law, to address the needs of students who have been classified based on academic needs, emotionally need, maybe even physical. So an IEP on the individual education plan is developed and approved, and it becomes a legal document. And so the law requires that once those documents are signed and legalized, the law requires us then to provide for that kind of, for that student. These may change throughout the year. There are students who get classified throughout the year, and whenever those happen, it is actually, a school district does not have an excuse. That is, financial difficulty is not an excuse to not meet that need. And so the federal government does provide special monies for these kinds of needs. And so it's, through the, Educational Act, we have the Disabilities Act, which is monies that are provided to school districts to support students who have any kind of special needs. But as I said, the first one, that category, special education, is something that might not have existed at the time we were doing the reductions in force. But even if it did, the reduction in force does not eliminate our responsibility to provide the support for those particular children. So that's where that one comes from. We have the responsibility to be in compliance with state and federal law to find support for those students. And quite frankly, we still even have, Mr. Barkley, we still have one or two in the district where we have got to meet those requirements by law, or we'll be in more difficulty. The other one, actually, the second one is guidance, is a position that where a teacher did resign during the year at the high school, and the goal there is just to replace that position that was already assigned. Okay, the person wasn't there, but the position was already there. And then the second one is similar, where a teacher did resign or retire, I can't recall exactly now. So that is also a replacement. It's nothing addition to any of the personnel needs that we have already listed. But these three were basically being, the first one to meet compliance law. The others were just replacing people in position that were already in the budget. Is that about right, Mr. Thompson?
Yeah. Two of those positions were replacing a salary that existed, but there has to be a point of clarity. On 9.2, the language has to be revised, first of all, to be prorated salaries. That's not on there, and it has to be included.
Right. And clarify him with that prorating. Why is it?
It's calculated based on one individual leaving mid-year and the balance of their salaries, the balance of that individual's salary or individuals is taken from the time of retirement through June 30th, and that money has to be allocated to those individuals prorated from the time they're hired through June 30th.
So that was the money that was left. And-
That's funds that were left from that.
Right. Okay. Mr. Barkley, does that help?
Yeah, let me just have the mic because I don't want to leave here with some ambiguity in my mind.
I understand.
Now, my follow-up question is these positions, isn't there anyone amongst those that were put down that was qualified for these positions?
I'm glad you asked that. We have actually been going through the district and going through our personnel list. There were other positions that we needed to fill, and we have been able to move people around throughout the district so that we would not have to go outside to try to find positions because we didn't have the money, quite frankly. And so that is what, but the ones that we have now, these other two, we did not have anyone else. We've actually tried to redistribute, and we're still going to have to reevaluate.
Thank you.
Right.
Any other questions?
Madam President, may I just chime in on this particular point?
ahead,
Last
Dr.
week,
Brown.
when the board was unable to meet because of the urgency of having that special education teacher in place for the students, I actually had intervened and authorized the appointment of that staff member to begin. But in light of some questions that still remain for me that I've been attempting to get clarification on, I am going to take under advisement the other two recommendations that are on the agenda tonight. But the special education position has been filled.
Okay.
Yes, the monitor stated that would be under advisement. However, on the floor is a HR agenda item from 9.1 to 9.16. That still requires a motion.
Can I get a motion?
Is there a motion?
Second. Any other questions?
You second?
Oh, I did.
You
I
did. Okay.
Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Mr. Barkley? Mr. Buford?
Yes.
Mr. Callaway? Ms. Couch? Ms. Mello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Motion carries. Before I get to the C&I agenda, Madam President, I need a motion to approve policy 1613, 5512, 5561, 8561. They're all mandatory policies.
Can I get a motion, please? Can I get a second?
Ms. Couch made the motion.
Second? I heard.
No, she did.
So can I get a second? Second. Any questions for policy,
6113.
no, 10.1? No questions? Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Mr. Barkley? Yes. Mr. Buford?
Yes.
Mr. Callaway? Ms. Couch? Ms. Mello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Madam President, I'd like to move the CNI agenda with the inclusion of a resolution. I'll read the resolution. The Pleasantville Board of Education is committed to ensuring all students succeed academically and reach their full potential in life. In doing so, it is also committed to providing opportunities for and ensuring that all students, inclusive English language learners and special education students, meet the New Jersey Common Core state standards and achieve academic and long life success. The addendum be it resolved in Pleasantville Board of Education for the following cost only. Trip was BOE approved on September 18th for the high school juniors and senior class to attend D-Free National Conference at Lincoln Gardens in Somerset, New Jersey, date October 26th, from 6 a.m. to 4, 5 buses, $1,100 per bus, and gratuities of $250, a total not to exceed $5,750, utilizing Fund 15-00270-512-40050 High School.
Can I get a motion to approve
CNI with the addendum.
and the addendum?
Necessary motion.
Can I get a
Ms.
second?
Mello made the motion.
Yes. Can I get a second?
Ms. Couch, second.
Any questions? Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Mr. Barkley? Mr. Buford?
Yes.
Excuse me, I couldn't hear you, sir. I apologize.
Yes.
Mr. Callaway?
Yes.
Ms. Couch? I'll go back to Mr. Buford. Actually, Ms. Mello?
Yes.
Mr. Buford will addressing the CNI and the CNI addendum.
Oh, you're talking to Mr. Barker. So, like you said Buford, I thought you was talking to me.
I can't hear you, sir.
You said Buford is Barkley.
Oh, I apologize. Mr. Barkley, we're addressing the CNI agenda and addendum. How do you vote? Yes. Mr. Barkley, yes. Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Madam President, I have nothing else.
Do you have anything?
That's a closed session.
So we do.
Okay. Madam President, that concludes our agenda. Dr. Austin, is there?
Anything else?
No.
Can I get a motion to go in executive session? Can I get a second? Who, by Couch?
Ms. Couch.
It is hereby, oh, you have the time, Mr. Tompkins?
The time is 6:10.
It is hereby, oh, I'm sorry. All in favor to go in executive session?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? No? That's fine. You want me to do a vote?
No.
No, you can have a seat, Mr. Page. He wants to do a roll call.
That's fine. Mr. Barkley made the motion to go into executive. Is there a second?
Second by Couch.
Ms. Couch made the second. Mr. Barkley? Yes. Mr. Buford?
Yes.
Mr. Callaway?
Yes.
Ms. Couch? Ms. Mello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
All right, the time is 6:11.
It is hereby resolved that the Pleasantville Board of Education will go into close a private session from which the public shall be excluded in accordance with the provisions as set forth in NJSA 10:4-12 and 10:4-13. The following subjects shall be discussed on the date and the session of the board closed to the public: personnel, pupil matters, pending and anticipated litigation. Be it further resolved that the discussion in closed session will be disclosed to the public at this time or a future meeting of the board when it is no longer necessary to maintain the confidential nature of the items discussed.
Madam President, we're going into executive session.
The board will have an update on the Irwin versus Pleasantville Board of Education matter.
Hello. Can I get a motion to come out of executive session?
Ms. Couch made the motion. Mr. Barkley, second. Ms. Barkley?
Roll call, Mr. Tompkins, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Mr. Callaway?
Yes.
Ms. Couch? Ms. Mello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas, can we get a motion to close?
Can I get a motion to close? Second by Mr. Barkley. All in favor? Aye.
Yes, aye.
Aye. Anyone? Meeting adjourned.
The time is 6:46.